Welcome back to another episode of Clown Now. Today, we're going to go back, far back. We're going to go back to the basics. This is going to be a Vaping 101 series. Planning on breaking it up into 4 or 5 parts. First up, we're going to do just basic terminology. If you were to walk into a vape shop, you hear all these terms being thrown around, all the vapor slang. We're going to basically just give you definitions. We're not going to go up close. We're not going to do any type of a tutorial. It's just going to be explaining what you're going to hear when you walk into a vape shop. So, let's get it started. Let's cloud it out.
Oh.
Alright. So, when you walk into a vape shop, you hear people talking, and you're going to hear all these expressions like, mod, ohms, wicking, all this stuff. I'm going to clarify all that up right now. When you hear someone talking about a mod, it's their setup. That's all it is. It's their device. When you hear someone talking about, a tank, that's pretty cut and dry. An RDA, just same thing, just without the juice capacity. When you hear like ohms are your resistance. All that really means, to take it as far back basic as it can be, is the amount of resistance that the electricity has to take. The lower your ohms, the faster your coil, which is your heating element, is going to heat up, which is going to produce the vapor from your e-juice. E-juice, all it is propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin with a flavor additive and nicotine. Optional. Different strengths. Your propylene glycol, what that is that's what provides that throat hit, the feeling like when you smoke a cigarette, and it's what carries the flavor. The flavor additives attached to that propylene glycol. Your vegetable glycerin, what that is that's what produces the cloud, the vapor. The more of a VG-PG is what you're going to hear it mostly. There's the different ratios. There's like a 50-50, 70-30, 80-20, and a 90-10. Those are like your more common, popular ones.
And also 100% as well. That's one that does not have any glycerin glycol to it as well, aka PG.
The different mixture is going to give you, either more taste or more cloud. You find out which one's best for you. You just try them. You'll learn over time. Some of the other terms are.
Other terms are like, you got your pre-built coils, you got your RDAs.
Pre-built?
Yep, pre-builts are basically, they're built for you. You can set them in, you're good to go.
Plug and play.
Yep, basically it. Also, another term that you'll hear too is making sure that the coil is saturated. We'll go into that as well. Another portion is e-juice. You'll hear the name e-juice, or you'll hear the name just juice. It's the same thing. Basically, it's a little bit dumber down. Not really dumber down, but it's just there. Also, another portion is wire, or wraps.
Canthal.
Yeah. That's typically the most typical one, too. Wraps is how many wraps on top of the RDA, like where you build it at. We'll go in depth with that one as well later on, and like part 3.
Yeah, it's part 3.
Part 3.
Another big one you're going to hear is dripping. You're going to hear people, I don't use a tank, I drip. Basically all that is, instead of having the glass on top that keeps the juice held in, you drip it straight onto the cotton, straight onto the coil, and it's just a different style. You'll hear people talk about drip tips on your tank. And on your RDAs, you have the piece that your mouth actually touches. They're interchangeable. Some of them have adjustable airflow. Some of them have unique designs, colors. Some of them are made out of different material.
Right.
Wider, narrower. Some of them are like real narrow, real small, and that's more for like a mouth to lung hit, which would be like your traditional smoking a cigarette. Then when you get into the vaping, the bigger stuff, you do straight to lung. Another thing you might hear a lot is addy or atomizer. That's whatever attachment you're putting on top of your box, whether it be an RDA, a tank, an RBA.
And also tanks too. A broad term of it is tanks. As for sub tanks, that's what this guy is. Like the Smock TC VF4, the Playboy, the sub tank mini. That's straight up sub tank. And also there's kind of more traditional ones to where it's more from mouth to lung inhales, like the Nautilus tank, for example, as well. That's not considered sub-ohming because anything underneath 1 ohm is sub-ohming. Note portion 2 on top of like the mouthpieces, you'll hear like chuff cap. You will hear a regular 510 drip tip. Basically, a 510 drip tip is actually the 510 is actually connected to not connected. The 510 is what goes on top of your Addy, and sometimes the Addies had different like adapters for it.
Yes.
To where you can fit a 510 or you can fit a chuff cap. Either one of those, they should come with it.
Now with 510, it kind of has a dual meaning.
Mm-hmm.
You have your 510 mouthpiece, which is the size. At the same time, you have your 510 connectors, or your 510 threads. That is your most standard threads in the vaping world now. That is a 510 thread, and on the top of the mod is your 510 connecting. Some of them have an adjustable pin on the bottom that will all go in depth way later on.
Right, and then you'll hear like floating 510 thread
Connectors.
Yeah, floating 510 connectors. Also, you'll hear the terminology of
Spring-loaded 510.
spring-loaded 510. There's another one I had it right in my head. Now it's off. It's not there.
You'll hear people talk about authentic or clone. What that is basically it's the same as saying macaroni and cheese to, like a Walmart brand or
Right.
something like that.
Or like Gucci, for a really good example. You always see on the streets people are selling Gucci, but even though if they're kind of selling the streets, it's just like Gucci.
It's a knockoff.
Yeah, it's basically a knockoff. And we'll go in depth with like clone versus authentic. Some clones may be better than the authentic ones. Authentic ones may be tons better, and also supports the person that did make it originally as well.
We do have some stuff that's cloned that we also have authentic versions of. Our Buddha RDAs, mine's a clone, his is an authentic. We'll go in depth. We're gonna do a special on just breaking that down so you can tell. But yeah, this is part 1. It's basically just giving you a broad overview of terminology. There's a little bit more, but as we go in depth, if we start to talk about something that we didn't cover in this, we'll break it down, give a definition on it. So,
to go back to the juices, sorry to cut you
oh,
off.
you're good.
Alright, cool. As to going for the juices, typically you find juices that are coming in 30 mils, 15 mils. I went backwards. You'll find like 15 mils, 30 mils, and also like 60 mils is most common in shops, if not on lines as well. This guy right here is a 30 mil plastic. You'll notice on glasses it's a lot thicker. I mean, it's not thick. It is thicker, but it seems a lot bigger. And like you'll have your 60 mils as well,
Or 52.
or 52. And also, too, another portion to kind of look out for is that you'll hear 3 nicotine. On the bottles, they typically have 3 mg. Still the same thing. It's just that how much is inside of this bottle.
The nicotine, it ranges. There's some that go way up there. Normally, you hear 24, 18, 12, 6, 3, 0.
And sometimes now they're coming out with ones with 1.5 too.
Yeah. But we're going to dive in on the next part. We're going to cover box mods in general. We're going to cover mods in general and some battery safety, along with basically just how to use your batteries.
Right, and speaking of batteries too, you'll hear most commonly is 18650 batteries. The 18 portion is how thick the battery is, and the 650 is how tall the battery is. All you have to know is pretty much 18650 is pretty much the most universal thing out there right now. Another portion too is like going back to the coils too, you'll hear gauge wire. You'll hear typically 28 gauge, 26 gauge, 24 gauge, and also 22 gauge. We'll also go into that, but those are the most common ones for your rebuildables and like your RBA section.
So, that'll do it for part 1. It cut dry, basics. We want to make sure that we keep people into the loop.
You'll see as we get more into it that you'll find your type of style. Just because we're running RDAs and like bigger wattage boxes to it.
I only run an RDA for the show, to be honest. I use my tank all week.
Right. And a lot of people love tanks just because it's more convenient for them. And most times RDAs are now for the hobbyist people and for the cloud chasers as well. But there are sub tanks coming out that are pretty damn good.
Yeah. Another a big thing too is I kind of figured this out on my own. It seems like the more you know about a subject, the harder it is to teach that subject. I know it sounds silly, but when you become, I don't want to say a pro vapor. I don't want to consider myself a pro vapor. I consider you a pro vapor. When you get to the status of pro vapor, where you've vaped all sorts of different styles and you've done all sorts of different styles of different stuff. When someone comes up to you that doesn't know about it at all, it's hard to think back to amateur status. So you start explaining it as if you were talking to another pro instead of a beginner. So what we're going to do, and it's going to be tough, is we're going to go back and try to bring a beginner up to an amateur. That way you don't walk into a vape shop and basically get scared off. That was like my number one hardest part about working at the vape shop was when new people would come in, they would ask questions that were simple questions, but it was hard to answer them with a simple response without like confusing them. So we're going to take away the confusion. But that wraps up for part 1. So
I'm glad it out.
we'll see you on part 2.